The Sky News host pressed the Shadow Defence Secretary on whether Labour would raise capital gains tax, stamp duty or the number of council tax bands. A Labour frontbencher has refused to rule out the party hiking property taxes if Sir Keir Starmer wins the general election. Sky News presenter Burley grilled John Healey on Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's challenge for Labour to match a new Tory pledge not to increase capital gains tax, stamp duty or the number of council tax bands. But Mr Healy repeatedly refused to rule out the move during the Punchy interview this morning. He said, "There are dozens and dozens of specific taxes. The ones that are most important are those that cost working people the most. We will not raise taxes on working people, we will not raise income tax, we will not raise VAT, we will not raise national insurance. Our plans do not require us to start looking at raising taxes across the board." Pressed on if Labour would increase capital gains tax, Mr Healy said, "Our plans do not require us to start looking at raising taxes." On stamp duty, he added, "We will not raise the taxes that are most important to working people." Asked several more times about stamp duty, Mr Healy insisted he is not going to go through the list. Burley said, "Why not, it's really important." Mr Healy replied, "The taxes that are most important to people, income tax, VAT and national insurance, will not be raised under a Labour government." The Sky News presenter then turned to council tax bands, saying, "Capital gains tax is really important to a lot of people, stamp duty really important to a lot of people. What about council tax bands? That affects almost all of us. What are you going to do about that?" Mr Healy said, "Our plans do not require us to look at raising taxes across the range of dozens of taxes there are." But Burley pressed him, specifically asking you about council tax, property tax and the council tax bands. The Labour frontbencher said, "I'm not going to go through a list, we could be spending the next hour doing this. There are hundreds of taxes," Burley said, "those three, what are you going to do about those? I'm asking you specifically about those taxes. You are not going to change them, is that right?" Mr Healy insisted Labour is not going to start raising taxes across the board. The Sky host replied, "Dear oh dear, you need to answer the question because if you don't people are going to think you're going to put the taxes up." The Shadow Defence Secretary said, "Where we have plans to change the taxes we've spelt those out and we've said what that money that we can raise will be used to do." Burley ended the interview, saying, "You're not ruling it out. You won't deny it.